Welcome to today's episode. I am so happy to be here. And today I am talking to Michelle Burke about letting your soul lead you, which it's such an amazing topic and something that just really lights me up just thinking about that.
Yeah.
And Michelle was a former middle school science teacher who realized teaching the test was crushing her soul. She's always told her students to follow their soul and their passion. So that's why she did it too. And she now brings her passion for the mind, body, and spirit together, and shows other women all over the world how to empower themselves in mind, body, and spirit to embrace change. Hi, Michelle. Nice to have you on
Hi.
today.
Thank you for having me on today.
My pleasure. And how was that intro? Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, nothing, nothing I'd like to add. I mean, I always told my students, follow their passions. When they would say to me, Miss Burke, I don't know what to do. Well, what's your soul telling you to do? Well, I wasn't saying like, what's your soul telling you to do? I'm like, what's your gut telling you? What's your heart telling you to do?
Yeah.
And just follow that, listen to them.
Yeah, totally. So before we really jump in, I'd love to know, how do you start your day?
I start my day. The first thing I do when I get out of bed, like before I even go to the bathroom, is I make my bed.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that my grandma instilled in me. But I make a cup of tea, I sit down, I have my tea, and then I'll do my morning journaling, meditation. Sometimes I might pull a card or do a reading for myself. Some mornings I might do some energy work. But there's always a cup of tea involved.
Amazing. I love that. And what compelled you to become a coach and do what you do now?
Well, about 6 years ago, I had just was at this point in my life where I was at this crossroads and I just needed that overall life change, but I couldn't quite at that time understand like why. So I quit my job, moved, and started my business all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my mom kept saying to me, it feels like you're running away from something. It feels like you're running away from something. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not really running away like from anything. And it took me a while to figure out that, as they say, mom's always right. And she was right in this instance. What I was running away from was my current life because it wasn't, serving me.
Mm.
So that's how my whole business started. I started with, network marketing and then just moved from there.
Mm-hmm. And what was like the defining moment for you in that?
In moving and quitting my
Yeah,
job,
yeah, and quitting your job and realizing there was something else.
that September, so September of 2012, a friend of mine who lived at the beach, invited me down for a party. I'm in the States,
Mm-hmm.
and I stood on the beach, that Labor Day Monday, and I said, by this time next year, I'm going to live here.
Mm-hmm.
I set that intention, staring out at the ocean. And, that Monday or that Tuesday, started the first day of school. And that was by far the worst school year ever. By November, I was pretty much done. By March, I was completely done. And in June, because I was teaching at a private school, when June came along, the director already knew, but I was not re-signing my contract. I was listening to mantras and meditations on my way to school. I was crying on my way home. It just wasn't, resonating with me anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was where it was like something has to give. And it was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm moving to the beach. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how, but the how just all fell into place.
Mm. And had you always been interested in spirituality, and that soul stuff?
Yes. As a kid, I was really into unicorns,
Mm-hmm.
fairies, like the mystical stuff. In middle school, like started getting into crystals, but didn't really understand like the spiritual connection, with unicorns, the spiritual connection with crystals. It was just like just drawn to me. And it all just, as I look back, like, it all just makes sense as to like what I was into as a kid, and like the directions and like the people that I was interacting with, like, were also into crystals, and friends in high school that were reading tarot cards. All right,
Mm.
yeah, it all just makes sense.
Yeah. And it seems such a like contrast to science. Do you have like a big love for science too, or?
Oh, I have a total love of science, but in some ways it's not.
Mm-hmm.
You look at, there's so, I mean, quantum physics, like, it's physics.
Mm.
There's so much science within, this, within spirituality, that it just, you know, it took me a few minutes to make that connection. But that, the science is there. Some might say that it's a pseudoscience.
Mm-hmm.
But the science within spirituality is there. You look at the whole time space continuum. You
Mm-hmm.
know, taking quantum leaps. It's all physics.
Mm. Yeah, that's a really good point. Um, and so when you surrendered, so you had this moment and you didn't know how it was going to unfold. What happened? Tell me about that.
It all kind of just it all kind of just unfolded, and then all fell apart and then came back together again.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom was probably one of my biggest, like, naysayers. And, what are you doing? I'm like, Mom, I have to do this. I mean, it wasn't until I said to her, that I hear Grandpa telling me, "You've got this, kiddo. You've got this, kiddo." And my grandpa always referred to us as kiddo. And that was that was one of those, like, defining moments where she's like, "You hear Grandpa telling you you've got this." I'm like, "Yes, I hear his voice saying you've got this, kiddo." And when I did find a winter rental, and then 3 weeks before I was supposed to move, that rental fell through.
Mm-hmm.
So I did what any normal girl does, and I turned to Craigslist
Yeah.
and did the roommate thing for the first time since college. And then found a part-time job, then was able to get a full-time teaching job. I did teach for another year. I went back to a public school, just to see if it was the school environment that I was in, or if it really was me. And
Mm-hmm.
it was being back in that public school environment where I realized, no, schools, the energy is toxic. It just wasn't resonating with me. And I was like, no, this isn't for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what is your legacy that you want to leave?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I guess that legacy is making that impact. Knowing, making that impact, having women know that it is okay to truly express who you are, to let that facade crumble,
Mm.
and to do those things that bring you joy, the things that bring you pleasure, to follow your soul, no matter how old you are, no matter what society says.
Mm. I love that. Um, and so what's the hurdle that you've personally faced and how did you overcome it?
Oh, there are so many hurdles. I think how oh, I've always said that I am my own worst enemy.
Mhm.
And I think that's true for a lot of us. I have a tendency to spend too much time in my head. That science brain comes out and I overthink, I overanalyze, and I get too caught up in my head instead of just doing it. And
Mm.
when we spend too much time in our head, that fear begins to take over. We self sabotage, we procrastinate. And that's where I've taught myself and I've learned my triggers and my key patterns and stuff, where it's like, okay, when I'm spending too much time in my head, it's all right, drop back in,
Mm.
get out of your head, drop back in, and just do the damn thing already.
Mhm.
So it's, for me, my biggest hurdle has been myself and like my own my own mind games,
Mm.
which I think we're all victim to.
Yeah, totally. And so can you give an example of how you drop back in?
Um, I'll a lot of times if I a lot of times I'll message a friend or a coach, my coach or a coach that I've worked with, and just been like, "Hey, help." I'm not afraid to reach out to someone and say like, "Help, like get me out of my head."
Mhm.
Other times, if I'm not like deep down, I'll go connect with nature. Like,
Mm.
I live a block and a half from the beach. I will go to the beach. I will take that beach walk. I will ground, and I will drop, back in. A lot of times also, writing, just journaling, just getting all that mind chatter
Mm.
out, and then reading back through it and going, oh wow, yeah, that really is like absurd. Like, why the heck am I thinking that? Like, that's laughable. Like, sometimes I'll laugh at like what I've written, and just connect, back, connect back in, meditation as well, just and not even like a deep meditation, just closing my eyes, and sometimes something that I'll do like as I'm working, just taking that moment, closing my eyes, taking, 3 to 5 deep breaths, and really just feeling into my body, and just dropping back in, and centering back in,
Mm. Yeah.
letting my soul lead me. And I had a coach recently point out to me when I'm in my head. So that was
Yeah.
the biggest and best gift, like the one of my favorite things in working with her,
Mm.
was her giving me those tips as to like calling me out, basically, as to, you're in your head right now, drop in.
Mm.
Oh crap, you're right, I am. All right, drop in. And there it is.
Yeah, that's so useful. Um, and what makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
Um, My inspiration, a big part of my inspiration, comes from my niece. You
Mm,
know, she's almost 4.
mm,
So, being that, one of, those strong role models, in, her life, letting her know that, you know, it's okay to be who you are,
mm.
and that, she's a big part of my why, a big part of, my inspiration.
Mm.
Oh, I'm realizing, this things that I'm doing for her. I'm doing for the younger generations, as well.
Mm. Beautiful. Yeah, I feel that with my kids as well. Just there's something, it's for them. Like it's to show them what is possible. Everything I do is to show my kids what is possible. So they believe
Yeah,
in themselves.
yeah, it just she from day one just know, became my why.
Mm,
She's my why. She's my my inspiration. I mean,
yeah.
yes, my why is, it's deep. Yes, there is a deeper why there, but that, you look at them and it's like, okay, yes,
Mm,
the kids become that reminder.
yeah, they do. They really do. Um, and what are you curious about right now?
Oh, I mean, the first thing that I would say that I'm curious about is when we're going to go back to some form of normalcy.
Mm, yeah.
Being in this coronavirus, quarantine lockdown, when are we going to go back to this new normal?
Mm, yeah, I know.
And
I
what,
think it's a
yeah,
good
and
one.
what is this new normal going to look like?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. For sure. I'm definitely curious about that too. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so how do you know when it's your soul leading you?
Um, I knew that it was my soul leading me, uh, when I was at that point where I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I was tired. I was bored.
Mm,
I there was no fulfillment. I was going through the motions of life. I was not living life.
mm,
There was just that, all right, like I'm not, there was something greater inside just pulling me, and I let that pull lead me. I just follow, I just leaned back and let that lead me, like, and everyone thought I was crazy,
mm,
you know but sometimes you just have to let everyone think that you're crazy,
mm.
and just, do what's right for you, because at the end of the day, you're the only one who knows what's right for you.
Yeah, totally. I've done the same thing. And so what about when you went towards something that was soul led and you knew your soul was drawing you towards it? What feelings came up for you then? What did it feel like?
Um, just this ease, like when your soul's leading you, when you're doing things that are, soul led, there's this ease to them. There's this general feeling of like second nature.
Mm,
Like we tend to resist those things that come so easy to us.
mm,
And that was where, that, and just being, because it's so easy, or sometimes because of how absurd it sounds, you sometimes get stuck in your head.
mm,
Like, I noticed that too. Like, I would get stuck in my head. It's like, nope, this is right. Just let go, surrender, and let it lead you.
mm.
It's just following that pull and paying attention to, those signs, those synchronicities. The universe is giving them to us.
Yeah.
So one of the things that one of my first mentors had given me, this assignment, and it was something that I did for years, where she had said to me, write down what your soul, she said, write down your signs and your observations for your day. At the end of the day, write them down. She's like, at the end of the week, and then again at the end of the month, start looking at what you've written. And she knew that I did my morning meditations and was journaling then. She's like, you'll start comparing the two. You'll start seeing the connections. You'll start seeing how your soul is leading you and how the universe is giving you the validation that you're on the right track. And it was just, this awesome exercise, because that's exactly what it did. It let me see firsthand how my soul was leading me.
Yeah.
That I was getting those signs, that I was getting the validation, that I wasn't totally off track. Because that's something that we feel. It's like, well, what's my purpose? What am I doing wrong? What should I be doing? It's like, lean back and listen. And then, and it's like, I think it's one of the hardest things for us to do, is just lean back and listen and let our faith lead us.
Yeah, so I so agree with that. And so what's your favorite book and why?
My favorite book, or one of my favorite books, is Dr. Seuss's Oh, the Places You'll Go. And I love that book just because of it's so true. We are always on this path. We're always on this journey. We're always going to go places. And sometimes the places we go might be a little dark and scary. But we're not going to spend much time there. And then we find some place to go that's happier, brighter, more fulfilling. And we go there. And then sometimes we find some place that's, exciting and exhilarating. Just the fact that life is a journey and we're going to go different places, but no place that we go is a wrong place along our journey. Like, it's all part of the process. It's all part of our journey.
Yeah, I really like that. I like that book as well. And who's one of your most impactful teachers?
Ooh. Okay. Not the first name I expected to hear. The first name that I heard was Jamie Schumacher. And it was Jamie who was the one who called me out on when I was in my head.
Okay, yeah.
She's the one who taught me when I was in my head and how to, pay attention to those signs and move away, drop, pause, drop in, and move forward.
And she was one of your coaches?
Yes.
Amazing. And what, if you could work on any project with no barriers or constraints, what would you love to do? Be known for?
Oh, there's so many things going through my head right now. I would say right now it would be It would be a center for children. I have this deep connection, with kids. I mean, clearly I taught for, 8 years. And kids have always had this affinity to me. Little kids still have this affinity to me. So, creating a center for kids, this safe place for them to, experience, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, to teach that next generation, you
Mm.
know, just that safe space, for them, for kids to be kids, minimal, technology,
Mm.
just letting them, be free and who they are.
Mm. That's lovely. Um, and what do you wish you'd known when you first started out?
What was that?
What do you wish you'd known when you first started out?
Um, the process. I'm gonna what I'm the process, and what I mean by that is the fact that it is this emotional roller coaster.
Mm.
Oh, being an entrepreneur, being a coach, you ride that roller coaster, and not to hide when you're in those lows. Like, so many of us are taught, you know, oh, you only share the good stuff. Like, the public doesn't need to see. You don't want to tell, like, when you're going through those low points. I'm like, no, your audience needs to know your full picture.
Mm.
It's the vulnerability, your rawness that, people connect with. So to share that when you're in those lows, when you're out in the shit, share it. Don't hold back when you're going through something. Because that's, we all have our messes. We all have the crap that we're going through. And that's what everyone relates to. So that is probably, one of the biggest things that would have been helpful to have known is, be that true, authentic you in every single capacity, not just the good parts of you, but, the crappy parts as well.
Mm. Yeah. And what would you say to that fresh new you just starting out?
I would say don't listen. And I was fairly good at this for a while, but we all get caught in that trap. Blinders on.
Mm.
Blinders on. Do not pay attention to what this coach is doing, what that coach is doing, what this person is doing, what that person is doing. Blinders on. Focus solely on yourself. Don't get caught up in the social media, like, she's doing this, I should do that. She's launching this, maybe I should launch something similar. Do what feels right for
Mm.
you. Blinders on. Post and get off.
I love it. I really love it. I think that's so useful because it's so easy to get into comparison and it's
Mm-hmm.
so detrimental and just
Yes.
you can stop you taking action. It can just get you caught in this stuckness of no movement at all and self-doubt and
Yeah, and it's just blinders on. Post and walk away. Leave literally walk away from the laptop, walk away from the phone, the iPad, the tablet. Just walk away and let whatever is going to happen happen, because there's energy within your post. So that's would be like my second piece is if you're having a crappy day, if you're in a bitchy mood, like don't post just because you feel you have to post.
Mm.
There's no such thing as, oh, I have to post today. It's, does this feel right?
Yeah.
Do I feel like posting something today? No, I really don't. Then don't post something. There's no rule that says, oh, you have to post, 3 to 4 times a day. Like, that's bullshit. Like,
I
just
agree.
do what feels right for you. If
Yeah.
it's posting once, great. If it's posting multiple times within the day, so be it. But check in with yourself first and ask, why am I posting this?
Because your energy goes into that post too. So people can sense the energy. It's not about what's written. So if you're really not
Yeah.
wanting to post and you put that up and it's like a positive post, but you're like resenting posting that, people will feel
Yeah.
the resentment, not what's written.
Exactly. And that's where, people wonder why they put this awesome post out or this amazing offer and then they hear crickets.
Mm.
It's like, well, what mood were you in when you posted that? Oh, I just got finished yelling at, my kids because they wouldn't clean up their room. Well, yeah,
Mm.
anger is what was the energy that was in that post.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I had recently, I just did not feel like posting. And I was like, wow, I haven't posted for like quite a few days. I've barely done anything. And I just was like tempted to because it had been like quite a few days. And I just got to that point where I was like, hang on, stop. No, because that I don't have that inspiration right now. And yeah, I understand like consistency and showing up, but it doesn't have to be this cookie cutter thing that everyone says. I
Yeah.
totally agree with you. Like, it just, you really have to trust when it feels right and go with it. And yeah, consistency, but that can be, twice a week. It can be, you can still be seen. Like if you're
Mm-hmm.
got the right energy behind what you're posting, it'll be seen by the people.
Exactly. And that's what matters most. It's that energy. So it's, you brought up consistency, and what just came to me is it's consistency within your energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the consistency in posting, oh, 3 times a week. It's okay, consistency in your energy, having joy behind that, excitement, like that's what's
Mm.
going to attract your audience.
Yeah, totally. Um, and so is there anything you do differently on your journey?
Um, I think one thing that I would do differently is, there are people, everyone comes into your life for, a reason, a season, or life, and I truly believe in that. But one of the things that I would do differently is certain people that where I could see that they no longer served me, like I held on to them a little bit longer. People that were pulling me down or not supporting me within my journey. Oh, I would have, parted ways with them sooner or not let the things that they were saying impact me the way that I did.
Yeah.
Just things that, people say, getting into my head and like, sticking with me and, putting some of that fear in, I would have had stronger boundaries set.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. Um, and what's the best compliment you've ever received?
One of the best compliments I've ever received is from my best friend,
Mm.
who has said to me more than once, Shell, you are by far, one of the strongest people that I know.
Mm.
Oh, and it's just that, perseverance where I get knocked down, I get back up and I keep going.
Mm.
Oh, I get knocked down again, I get back up and I keep going. Like I set my mind to something and I keep going.
Mm. Yeah. It's, the secret, I think, is to get back up and not give up, you know.
Exactly. Sure, there's going to be some of those moments where, yeah, we get knocked down and we might stay down a little bit longer.
Mm.
But that's just, in staying down, it's that healing time, that regrouping time, the learning from, that fall so that you can come back stronger.
Yeah. And I really truly believe success is inevitable. If you do keep going, you will succeed. It may not be on the same timeline that you necessarily believe or think it's going to be, but you will succeed.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
I really believe that. But you just keep going. And so many people quit or give up before they just before, um
Yeah, because we like to be, and this goes back to letting your soul lead you, we like to be in control.
It reminds me of one of the pipelines down in the state that I live. I'm pretty sure this is the right story, but the guy who built it, it took years and years and years, um, and he committed suicide like the day before it got completed.
Oh my
He
gosh.
just waited like one more day. He all
Yeah.
this like stuff, but he gave up, and it's you know just keep going.
Exactly. Just keep going and let go of that control. The how isn't up to us. And like that's a hard concept for our brains to
Yeah.
comprehend. But it's like the how isn't up to us. The how is, putting our faith in something bigger and letting that lead us and trusting along the way.
So how do you let go of the how? Funny question,
uh,
but lots of
yeah.
people I'm sure feel like, well, I have to control the situation. So,
Well, when we control, and this has been a big one for me, when we control that situation, we're slowing down the process.
mm,
We're missing opportunities. We're not letting things happen accordingly. We might be, by controlling that situation, making them take longer
mm,
than they're actually meant to take because, well, we're not giving up that control. So if you're in that point where you're frustrated, you're fed up, you're like, I just want to have that, temper tantrum,
mm,
let go, surrender.
mm,
And I feel we look at surrender as waving that little white flag. Like, I give up, I surrender.
mm.
And that was a big one for me. But I like to shift it and think of it as we all need help.
Mm.
Doesn't matter who we are, we all need help. So think of it in that perspective as you're not waving the little white flag. You're saying, hey, I need help. Can you help me?
Mm.
And you're just turning it over to a higher power. You're turning it over to somebody else who's more qualified to help you in this situation.
Yeah, that's just dropped in for me. It almost reminds me of, say, like, you know, say for example you asked your parents for help or something, you said, look, I really need help with this thing, and then there's that period where you're waiting and you know that they're going to help you, but you don't know what's going to happen, and it's
Exactly.
almost like you're waiting for the answer from that other person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, that just came to me then, but
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what it is. It's
mm,
you're
yeah,
turning
that
to somebody
trust.
high, somebody higher, somebody more qualified. Just
Yeah,
but in this case, it's the universe, it's God, it's source, it's whatever that higher being is that you believe in.
yeah, yeah, definitely. That's so good. Um, and what's something that one of your clients, your work's done for one of your clients that you didn't expect?
Um, I had a client not too long ago say to me that you've completely changed my life.
Mm,
And I said, Really? I'm like, in what aspect? She's
mm,
like, in every aspect. And I was just like totally blown away. And then she started giving me, you know, the tangibles. She's like, I don't doubt myself as much anymore.
mm,
She's like, we wanted to move into an amazing new space. And we moved into, this amazing townhouse that was given to us, basically. You know, I had having more confidence, having more faith in herself, trusting herself more, not second guessing as much, and really starting to put herself out there. Like she now has that confidence in herself to be putting herself out there.
mm. Yeah, that's beautiful. Really beautiful. Um, and what does elevating your life and soul mean to you?
Um, Elevating in your life and soul means to me balance.
Mm-hmm.
Elevating your life so that your life is connected to your soul, that you're moving together. Because when we're letting our soul lead us, because our soul always knows,
Mm,
it's elevating our life to where we want to be. It's just taking us to that next step.
yeah, yeah. So I like that. Um, yeah, I really love that as well. And is there anything that you today wish that I'd asked you that I didn't?
Um, no, nothing that's really coming out. No questions that are really coming in.
Perfect. That's great. It's been such a great chat. So many, I wrote some notes and some really awesome things that you said that I think are really great. And I'd love to know how people can connect with you and what your offers are.
So my website is Michelle, with two L's, aburke.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I have on my website a free meditation bundle.
Mm-hmm.
There are 5 guided meditations, which
Mm,
I feel right now we all need, that meditation, that centering. And one of the meditations that's on there is for surrendering.
mm,
It is called Surrender to the Sea, that I recorded while sitting at the ocean. So you can hear the waves in the background, and they
wow.
literally just wash everything away. So that's one thing that I'll do, like, when surrendering. I'll
Mhm.
stand at the beach and just let it wash over me,
I love it.
until the ocean is to take everything away that doesn't serve me. So that's something that you get within that meditation. Um, I will next week be doing a class, a workshop type class at 2 hours of passion to profit.
Mm-hmm.
So, how to turn what your passions are into profit, how
Mm-hmm.
to uncover what those passions are and which passions are best for you to profit from.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many of us right now are looking for those ways to make additional income, or are thinking, do I want to go back to my 9 to 5?
Mm. Do you run that workshop more than once? Because this may not be out by next week. It's usually a few weeks away.
I will, once it's run live, I will be, having that, for sale as well
Amazing.
afterwards, because, I feel that it is something that is, important, as we're,
Mhm.
times are changing,
They are.
and more people are going to want to start, I feel more people are going to want to start working from home more, or just doing their own thing. So,
Mhm.
we're just looking for those extra ways to make income, so,
Mhm.
how to turn your passions into that profit. And also feel that, turning, taking our passions, it lets people see those other sides of ourselves.
Mm.
It plays that part in letting your facade crumble.
Yeah, totally. Amazing. Well, I will put all the details to everything in the show notes so people can connect with you. Thank you so much for being here today. It's been so great.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.